Hello.
Okay.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So it's 10:30. Hey, all. Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well, and you're all quarantined at home, and I hope you're able to um, continue your work, college, whatever you're doing. So and we are sure to get out of this COVID thing very soon. Um, So the good thing is everybody is going in it together. So I wish everyone a safe stay at home and looking forward to getting out there soon. All right. So with that, let's get started with today's session. Um, I am Ganesh Ramamurthy. I head the Kickdrum India office. And I'm excited to invite all of you to this Angular Essentials for Beginners training. This is the first of the training that we have extended out to people or students and engineers outside of Kickdrum. We have something called a Kickdrum University, which conducts training for our interns. A few of them are also on this call. This is a module that we decided to open up to the outside engineers and students so they can also benefit from this training. And we hope to be doing more such trainings. So please follow us in LinkedIn so you can be notified of future trainings that we plan to organize. I also want to introduce my colleagues, Pratik and Priya, who are engineers in the Bangalore office. Both of them are experts in UI development. And they will be conducting these sessions today and tomorrow. I want to thank all of you for choosing to attend this training. We were not sure if there would be interest, but we have received tremendous interest in this training. So we are happy to hear this, and this is an encouragement for us to do more such training. Just so you know, we received about 20 plus registrations to this training, and I expect most of them will be able to join us for these 2 days. And roughly about 65% of the people who registered are in college, which is a great thing because this is something that the students can learn and start to work on. So when they are ready to come out of the college, they have the skill set to their bio, which is a fantastic thing. And 70% of the participants or the registered members are new to Angular. So we will be covering the basics. We, of course, expect you to be aware of programming and some familiarity with algorithms and things like that, because we will not be covering those. But we will assume that you don't know anything about Angular, and so that will be how the training is structured. Just a little more information about this training. So there are two sessions. This session today for 2 hours from 10:30 to 12:30, and then there is another session tomorrow, the same time, 10:30 to 12:30. It'll be on the same bridge that we are using today. So we will try and start on time tomorrow. Also, so please join us for both the sessions so that you can get the benefit of the training. And while you're on the bridge, I would ask all of you mute your phones except the ones that are presenting. And if someone has a question, they can unmute themselves. So please mute your phone so that this becomes easier and convenient for the others who are attending with you. And also, I would suggest that you turn the video off so that there is less distractions that way. Now, you may put your questions on the chat if you don't want to interrupt the presentation. And Pratik and Priya will check the chats from time to time to see if there are any questions before they move on to a next section. If they have any questions from the audience to cover in the previous section, they would be able to do that. I think that would be the best way for you to ask a question, is to put it on the chat.
Yeah.
We are recording this session today. Go ahead, Pratik.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll be starting. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session. So, myself, Pratik, and with me, my co-partner is Priya. We'll be conducting this session. Thank you, Ganesh, for all the information and all the introductions. So, yeah, this session, as we have all seen, this session, the members who have joined this session mostly are from college and they want to learn how Angular works and what is Angular, what are the benefits, what is that framework actually going on, and all. So the way we have decided and structured this session is the basics we are going to cover, how we are going to set up the things, how we are going to start with Angular, and how you can efficiently start, how the front end development can happen, and how the Angular applications or front end applications can be developed by using this framework. So not wasting much time, we'll be starting with the presentations. So everyone can see the screen first. Just let me know if any problem is there in between. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, regarding our company, so we are value creation engineers. We have couple of products which we are working on. We are total 30 employees in our country, and we have started the main thing which by because of which we have started these sessions, as we are all quarantine. We are at home. We are not working on anywhere else. The colleges are not working. So what we thought to give to the community back is, as everywhere we have certifications going on, the partners, the AWS and all those partners are giving certifications. From our side also, we thought of giving some benefit to the individuals who are interested in learning some of the some of the latest technologies and all. So that is, again, we have started, that is totally free, nobody has to do pay anything, and that is how we have started to spread the knowledge to all the communities. So this is regarding our motto right now for this sessions. So starting up with the day one, there are 2 days for we have divided this whole session with 2 days. I would like to tell you that I will be moving a little fast because the session or the Angular actually the technology is a way long or way deep. You have to get whole idea about what all things are there inside an Angular and all. I don't think that will be covered in 2 days, but I have tried my best to complete that or to accommodate everything, so that you can at least have a basic knowledge and you can start your own projects, or at least you can talk about it to your colleagues and just elaborate from yourself, or get the knowledge out of it from by searching on the net or anything. So that way we'll be covering these sessions. Okay. So yeah, my prerequisite for this session is, I am not expecting anyone to know anything about Angular 1 or Angular 2. Usually when we talk about Angular, people are confused what is Angular 1 and Angular 2 or other versions. So first of all, whenever you are seeing anything on your resume or anywhere you have seen Angular JS, that is Angular first version. And the second are more than if it is not Angular JS, it is Angular. So there are only two things which are divided, and after Angular there are multiple versions of Angular. Right now I'm not expecting anyone to know about that. That is why we have this session. There needs to be some little bit of knowledge of HTML and CSS also. That is not required, because most of the things, when you are starting learning Angular, you will be eventually knowing HTML, CSS, and how it works, how the flow happens, and all those stuffs, but not in depth. It is not a must of thing. You need to, if you want to become a front end developer, this is the most important or basic thing you need to learn, that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Other than that, Angular, the framework is built on top of TypeScript language. So when we are recreating anything or when we are working on Angular, we need to learn a TypeScript language. TypeScript is nothing scientific, it is just a wrapper on JavaScript. The way we are writing code in TypeScript is very simpler, and people correlate with how we are writing code. So that is what is TypeScript. There is another session for that, we'll not go into that much depth. Other is, definite knowledge of JavaScript is required. So if you don't know anything about JavaScript, or if you are learning it, that is well and good thing. You have to understand JavaScript, because the main thing which keeps the front end development going on is JavaScript. It's a soul of the front end development. Other than that, there has to be some knowledge of npm node packages and all those stuffs. Again, it is not necessary, but if you have it, it is well and good. by doing all this, by taking all these assumptions, I'm moving forward with this presentation. So what you are going to learn from this presentation? Okay, my main concern or my main takeaway for you guys is you just need to know what is Angular, what is there outside, what is Angular called, why it is used, what is that framework, how we are working from that, how you can create applications to that. Now you are seeing the websites, the mobile applications, how they are getting developed. So the Angular is one of the major and topmost framework which is right now available in the market, which you can use to build scalable, responsive, and complex modern applications. That is what is the benefit of that. And I am thinking this session will be much less theory and more of a understanding purpose. So I know if we I'm going to talk too much, I'm not sure if you guys are going to learn about it or you're going to understand all things. So I will be showing you couple in between couple of things which you actually have to write, or actually the code base is there, how the code is running and how it is actually giving you the output. So that way I'm conducting these sessions and moving on. Any questions till now, guys? Okay. If I'm not getting any answers, I will be taking everyone as saying yes, and I'm moving on. Thank you. So, what all major things we are going to learn in this session? So, we have divided in two parts, and first day we are going to cover basics, components, and templating part. So, let's move on to basic first. Basic covers the setup. What is actually Angular and how it is set up, how you can set up Angular on your machine, on your laptop, on your desktop, how you can start your first project by using Angular, and this couple of commands. So the way you are seeing right now, you need to use your command prompt or your terminal on your machine to set up things, to install this couple of packages which I have shown here. Okay, so first, just talk about Angular. What is that? Angular just is a JavaScript framework. It is just for creating single page applications at client side. Angular is developed with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you are confused with what is Angular first version and second version, they are not at all correlated with each other. They are totally different frameworks with different language style, with different writing pattern. Nothing similar to that. Couple of features which you can see here are why Angular is famous in the market right now is because of the data binding part. It's because their modularity is there. You might not understand whatever I'm talking about right now, but the way when I'm going to show you the code, you can understand, or you might be having a good idea about why these features are very important right now for single page applications. Okay, the performance is the best thing. Simple API calls are there. Out of box solutions is there. So everyone says the same thing, but how actually we are going to use that, we'll see. Okay, now first what you need to do to set up the Angular in your machine. So right now I'm expecting everyone will have npm packages on their machine, or npm command running thing. So if you don't have npm, you need to install npm on your machine. And the way you need to install is you have to go to node.js download. So whatever see here, Node.js download, just go to downloads and select your appropriate OS machine and select your bit type and install that. So once you have installed, what you will see is you will have something called node-v. When you type this command, you will see some version is coming. This is the version of your node manager which is in your machine right now. Once you install that by using this command, you will have that npm access. Now what is npm access is when you write npm-v, this is another package manager. So just telling you about the full form, npm is node package manager. So whatever packages we are going to use right now to build the application, or the Angular is using behind the scene, that is coming from npm, that is node package manager. So first you need to run this command, npm install @angular/cli. This is the command line tool which is actually used by Angular to work with the Angular applications behind the scenes. This command line will help you to build the application, to run all the necessary needs, to set up all the framework kind of structure, everything. Once you install that, you have to run that same thing in your package manager. Once you install that, you will see you will have ng on your machine. Another variable which you will have, you can see ng is there. If it is undefined, you will not see this output. If it is defined, you will see all this output. This is the environment variable, and this all the commands you can use for working with ng. Ng is a variable provided by Angular. Okay. Moving on, so let's start with your first project, how you can start your first project. So it's a very simple three-way process. You can see there are only four commands which you have to run. The first command, second three dots which are there, bulletin dots are there. So I have already run that command. Now I want to run the next command, which is this one, ng new hello Angular. So hello Angular is the name of your application, and ng new is my command which I want to run. Ng new hello Angular. So it is going to do some couple of things. It is going to ask you some couple of questions. If you want, right now, don't bother about it. Just follow the steps and just see what all things are happening. Here on the left side, you can see there is another folder called Angular. Hello Angular has got created. Now I have run this first command npm install to set up everything. I have run the second command to install or to create my first folder, first application, ng new hello Angular. What do you think will happen? You will see this kind of folder structure, which you can see on the image, is getting created. So when you see here, it is installing packages and everything is going on. When you expand this, the setup is going on, and all the files which are required for an Angular application to run, that is getting built. That all things are happening because of this single command, ng new hello Angular. Let's see. After that, you have to run the second command, cd hello Angular. This is just nothing but you are just changing directory to go inside this hello Angular folder. So once you go to that hello Angular folder, you will see what happens. In the similar way, I have one another folder called, okay, it's complete. Okay, now we'll see inside that. So we are running the second command, cd hello Angular. We are inside that. So the second command we ran, the other thing which we want to run is ng serve open. Now what happened when you did ng new, you have set up everything how Angular wants to create your application, that you have set up. You cd hello Angular, this command, you have gone into that folder where the Angular application has got created, and the third command which you want to run is ng serve command. So once I run that command, this is the only thing. Now you will see, I think you guys can see the screen, or I will just zoom it once. Okay, now you can see the commands which I am running. So here I am doing ng serve dash dash open. So that is running, that is compiling all the stuffs behind the scene. Ng serve is what actually ng serve is doing is it is trying to run your application. It is trying to combine all the files and folders and whatever you have written inside that, and you are going to get an output in your browser. So where you are going to get an output, that also Angular is going to tell you. You have to go to localhost. See, automatically you are into localhost 4200 in your in your browser, and this is what is the your hello world application looks like. So this whatever content you are seeing right now, this content is provided by Angular. So it is how means this is how your application is going to run. Okay, so here you can see which port is there and where you want to go and where you want to, where your application is running, localhost 4200, and that we have seen right now, and that is running. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so that way by doing ng-serve, you are hosting your application to one port called 4200 in your local host. Directly you are able to see that. Now if I want to change something in your Angular, so this is what is the only thing you have to do to run or you start your application using Angular. Now the major thing which is there, or where you have to work, actually now when you are starting your work, where you have to work is there is one thing called src. This is the source folder, and there is one folder inside that, that is called app folder. So when you go here, you will see src folder and app folder. This is the folder where you are going to spend your all the time or most of the time when you're working or when you're developing your application. So here is what is your working area. Other than that, they are all the helper files and they are all the configuration files which right now you don't have to bother about. So we'll skip that. Okay, so now we have started our project, we have created the project, we have run that project, now it is working fine. What all things actually we need to develop in angular application? So now that if you are an angular developer, what all things you are going to actually create while creating the application? So these are the 4 5 important entities which you actually are going to create. That is ng model, component, template, directive, pipes and services. They all have got their own significance. We will be covering most of them in the course of session, and we'll be telling you how actually these all things are correlated between each other and how they are working. So this diagram which you are seeing is the most important diagram, and it is the I'm going to spend much time to explain you what actually is happening here. When you are starting any application, any front end application, what happens is you can see the users are there. These users are actually you who are actually spending the time on your mobile, on your website or anywhere. What you are actually seeing on the screen on your devices are your view part, that is inside green color html and css part, this one. Now there is one thing which is actually taking the control of interacting. So when you're clicking somewhere, when you're scrolling, when you're selecting something, when you're clicking a button, when you're writing something on, whatever is happening, which is a functional part, that is controlled by this controller. In our case, that is called component. And there is something called model, that is the structure of your data. We'll not talk about model right now, it is a big concept, but the only thing which is important for now for us is view and control. So view is what you are seeing on the screen, the control is what is the behavior it is going to do when you are interacting with the screen. And the interaction between this is getting handled by the angular. So the middleware or the middle portion which is handling everything is the angular portion. So that is why it is there. Here we call this as MVC pattern, model view controller pattern. You guys might have heard about this MVC pattern or MVVM pattern. There are multiple patterns by which you are actually interacting with your view, your controller and your model part. So how data is transferring from each model to view to control, and that part that is getting handled here. Everywhere you can see two-way data binding is written. That means to and fro communication is happening. Nowhere you can see here the interaction is happening other than the server part. Everywhere, whenever you're writing, when you're interacting, when you're getting something from backend to front end, there is two-way data binding which is coming here in the picture, and this is the more important concept in Angular. Okay, moving on. As I have told you, these are the more 5 6 entities which are very important. I will be coming and starting with the components part, and this is our basic second point which I have told you. Initially we have seen major topics. In that major topics, the first topic is components. Here you are seeing. Okay, first of all, any questions till now? Any doubts? Anything? Okay.
Are we going too fast?
Yeah. Okay. That was one question. Are we going too fast, guys? Anyone is saying something? I don't. Okay. I think I should move on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now talking about the components. In in technical terms, what is component? Component is a building block of Angular application. So whatever you see on the screen is component. You are seeing your application, you are seeing any website, you are seeing the navigation bar, home page, career page, you are seeing some content of the website. Anything which you are seeing on the screen is component for Angular. Here you see the diagram of Alto car. Just imagine or just consider this Alto car is your application. When I say application, it can be your mobile application also, it can be your website also, it can be anything on a front end which you are seeing right now. So considering this Alto car is my main application, how this Alto car has got created, you can see. To make this Alto car, I have this all things. You can see this jumble of components or this jumble of instruments, all this wheels, wheelchair, seats and everything is there. Now in my whole application, these all things are required to build that application. So what are these things? These are my small components. In Angular language, everything which you see on this screen right now in this image is a component. There can be two type of components which you can create. It can be a feature component also, it can be a reusable small component also. So if I say wheel, there are four types of wheels. So if I create one wheel component, I can use multiple that component in four different places. That is my four wheels. So that is kind of a reusable component. The other component is feature component or a specific component. That is, let's say example, my steering wheel are, there is only one steering wheel inside an Alto car, it cannot have multiple steering wheels. So right now that is my specific component or a feature component which will do only one functionality. Okay, so this is how is the simple form where a single main application, an Alto car, is your front end application, and it has been created by using all the small components that are your feature or reusable components inside your application. And that is how that they are getting combined together to build a single major application, that is Alto car. Okay, this is what is the hierarchy of components or hierarchy of small components and feature components, how actually Angular checks the things and how you can create the application in Angular. So this is my app component or app root component. Every component is inside this component. So when you go into the project and when you see, there is one thing called app component. This is my app component. Okay, app root component. Everything whatever you are going to build in the application, that is coming or that will come inside this app component. How we will see that, but as per the hierarchy, what you are seeing here is my app component is there, feature A, feature B, feature C, and all that. So consider this feature A as my home screen page, consider this feature B as my career page, consider this feature C as my about to page. So that way you can have multiple feature pages as your multiple navigation pages also, and you can move on to that. So the inner components, that A1, A2, A3 component, B1, B2 components, those are the smaller components which you are using or which are helping you to build a feature component which you are inserting inside your app component. So that way this is top to bottom hierarchy is happening with all the components itself. What is actually a component? Component, as I said, it's a building block. It takes the responsibility of showing you the UI. Whatever you are seeing on the UI, whatever I am seeing here, 1 second. So whatever you see in this website is my component, and this UI which is coming, that is coming because of my component. So if you want to see what actually is here and how it is getting shown here, I can show you that. You can go to the HTML part of that component, you can see everything which is written here, that is what is shown there. So I just want to tell you one thing. So instead of this welcome, I will be changing the welcome to all of you. I have just changed the name of from welcome to all of you and saved it. So when you go back to your front end page, you can see welcome to all of you. It has got changed. So that means whatever you are seeing here is getting replicated on my web page like this. Okay. Now coming back to the other part, that has got a template. So what right now what we have seen, the HTML, that is the template for an HTML for a component. It has got classes and behavior. So what do you want to do with that component? Where should be the button, where should be the click handler, what should happen when you are typing something, when you are searching, and all that. That is the behavior and your state of that component. It had got some metadata. It's just for the concept purpose, you can see a component have some kind of metadata which component uses to do the functionality part. That part we are not going to go into depth, but just the 3 points on the top is main important thing. And I go to the application, you can see I am inside this app component page, and this thing this thing which I am highlighting right now is my metadata. And what is it showing is my selector is app dash root. The template which is associated with this component is app.component.html, and the stylings which are coming on the page, that are coming from app.component.scss. I'm hoping that you guys know about .html file and .scss file and the .ts file. So just consider the HTML part is my view part, the SCSS or CSS part is my styling part, and the TS part is what is my functionality or controller part. So this way we are dividing these three files into three different model, view, and styling concept kind of thing. Just for the simplicity purpose, I'm telling you that. Okay, moving on. How you can create a component. Now when you started the project, you have created an app component. Okay, it has already got created by the Angular, but that is the starting point of your app, the application. But now let's say you want to create a website where you want to create a header, or you want to create something where you have showing some form or something. How you will start developing those things in your Angular applications. So as I said, everything in Angular is a component. So you have to create components for that. Now how to create components in the Angular is by using these three commands. It they Any of them you can use. It is not like all the commands I have to run. You can use any one command and you can write the component. So we'll do we'll just create one simple component right now and we'll see how it works. So right now I am in hello world application, and the command which I want to run is ng generate component. My sample, there should not be a space in between. My sample component. When I'm going to run this command, you will see here component slash. So what I'm giving here, this is what I am giving the actual for the what you say, the path of the component. So what here it is going to do, it is going to create a component folder, components, and inside that there it will be creating my sample components. This is going to be my component which will get created. So let's see. It will run the command. It will create 4 files, and you will see this component folder has got created, and there are 4 files with that. There is one folder name and the 4 files. These are the similar files which you will see in app component. So app component has also got TS. This component has also got TS. App component has got HTML. Here also HTML. Everything is same. When you go inside this TS file, what you will see is this kind of structure. You are seeing this kind of structure here. It's the similar thing. This is my component, which is my metadata, highlighted one. Here what is the name of the component is, this is my selector name. What which template is associated with this component is this template URL, and this is the styling URL which is associated. So this way the metadata of the component is specified here on the top. This is what is the class has got created automatically, and these are the imports. So that is what is the structure of the component. So when you will go and you will generate it, you will see ng generate component is going to give you this kind of structure. This is the sample structure which got created. Okay, the main thing in components, and this is very important point right now, because every time when you are creating a component, by doing this by using CLI, by using this command, running this command, by default Angular is going to register your component in your module. What is the registration? Registration is nothing but just to tell the Angular, this is what is my component, and I have created one new component. And anywhere if you are seeing this selector in the application, you just find the selector, find the component associated with this selector, and render that component on my page. So we are just registering, or we are just telling Angular by this selector name and by this component name. So if when I say registration, where you have to do that registration, just copy this. I'll show you where the registration has happened. Everywhere, every time when you are creating a component, you have to register that component in your app module.ts. This any of the module file. There can be multiple modules. That is a big concept. But right now you have seen one app module is there. It has got this main point at the rate ng model. We have copied that component name, right? You can see the component name is getting highlighted here with the specific path. and the registration is happening here in this declaration part. So it is the same way when you see here a component is there and these are the metadata for that. In the similar way, the module is there and this is the metadata for that. What we are telling Angular, that this is my module, and what all things you have to declare while creating these modules are my components. So here this is what is the registration of your component has got done. So that is what is shown here. Component must be registered with module before it can be used. If you're not going to register that, it is going to throw an error on your console, on your front end, and you will see that error. That for that to resolve that error, you have to show, you have to declare that, or you have to register that component in your module. Okay, so in the module, under put the component type as one of the value declaration. Inside your declaration array you have to put, then that is what is that is what we have done. In our declaration array we have put our component name, and this is how we have done the registration of the component. Okay, now this is what we need to do to run or to create different type of components. So every time when you see in your Alto car, suppose you have a gate, you have a steering wheel, you have a seat, you have a wiper, you have mirror, everything that is a component. So every time when you want to create a component or you want to generate a component, this is the simple way you have to follow, and you are you and now your component has got created. Now what you want to do with that component, how you should show that component, or what it should show in front end, that is what we are going to see. So the as I said, there are four things associated with the component. The fourth association of the component means the HTML part. This is my functional part. This TS file is my functional part. The HTML which is going to show, which the front end is going to render, that is my HTML part. And the stylings which is going to happen, that is my SCSS part. Okay, now suppose I am running now, right now I'm running this Angular application, and I want to use my sample component here in my actual application. What am I going to do? How you are going to use this component in your actual application? You have created that, you have done the registration, now you want to actually use it. So I am going to use this app my sample component in my app component. So I don't want all this stuff which has already got created by Angular. I'm going to remove everything. I don't want this. What I'm going to do, I have copied the selector. You can see here, this is the selector. This is the main thing which we need right now. We'll copy that, we'll go to app page, we'll paste that. That's done. This is what we want to do. Now by doing this, what we are showing, we are telling Angular that this is my app component and app HTML. This is the main HTML which is going to get rendered. Inside that HTML, I am putting this my component, and I want Angular to render whatever is there in my app sample component. So what you see in the front end is my sample component works. So the stuff which Angular has got created, that has gone removed because I have deleted everything. And the only thing which is showing right now on the front end page is my component, my sample component. Okay. Now, this is what is shown from this HTML page. So if I want to show something else, suppose if I want to show anything which you are creating, if I want to show this or this button, let's say I have this button there and I want to show that button in my component. So I'm going to copy that button, or I'm going to write that HTML here. I'm going to remove all the extra stuff. So this is my button, a simple button. I have saved that. When I go to my front end, you will see there is a save button coming here. So whatever you want to do and whatever you're writing here in the HTML, that is nothing but the template of your component. We call it as template. You can see in the images the templates. There can be two type of templates, but right now we will see only the right side, which is template URL. The template URL is why we have this two types. If you have a simple component which has got less number of HTML and tags, that time you have to use the that time you can use the left side. If you have a large content like this, like this is the large content, and you cannot write that content inside a single file. So you are creating a different HTML file for that, and you are telling Angular component that this is my associated HTML template from which you have to render the components, front end or view part. That is what is the template. So okay, now we have created a component, we have created a template for that. What we want is actually how the template is getting used for my purpose. So if I have a template, and if I'm going to create a something, means if I want to do some stuff, or if I just, the way I have added save button, I have written some template or some structure, how I am going to use this template and that component file or the TS file for the functionality part, or for the for my working functionality. So what next from this? So this is what is done. I have created a sample application for you guys, which is not this one. Okay, I'm going to close this thing. I'm going to close this also. We are done with the Angular, hello Angular. That is what we have. Now coming to this is my sample application which I have created for you guys. Now going to that sample, it is nothing, it is similar to that. It has got some HTML which is the template, and how we are going to communicate from Angular component to Angular template. That is what I'm going to tell you guys. So when we see in here, what is data binding? First of all, data binding, the word says binding of data from my controller part to my HTML part. So if I say, suppose there is some static page, so if I have a static page, I am going to write that static page like this example, and everything is static. So I don't have anything dynamic, no mains, no function, no nothing is there. So that static page can be created by using simple HTML, CSS also. Then what is the use of having Angular here? So the main positive point or the benefit of Angular is data binding. So you can actually bind data means the actual data, the name, the anything which is your dynamic stuff, your data is there, you can bind that from your template to your component, or component to your template. So that is what I'm going to show you. Let's go with the points. One of the strength of the Angular, helps in keeping state sync between UI and model, that is component. So when I told you about data binding, the binding is happening between UI and the model part. Model is my component part. So when we say UI, that is our HTML, and the component, that is my TS file. Okay, so what we are seeing right now is how I can use data which is written here in my component, can be used to render something can on my HTML page. So this is a general scenario which you will be facing many times, where you have some dynamic data and you want to show it on the front end side. So that way I'm going to show you. There can be four types of data binding can happen. We will go to one by one. The four types are interpolation, property binding, event binding, and two-way data binding. Okay, the bold things which are highlighted here, those are the syntax of writing this all data bindings. For interpolation, we are using double curly braces. For property binding, we have square brackets. For event binding, we have round brackets. And this is for two-way data binding, that is square bracket plus round bracket. How are we using interpolation here? So you can see, use interpolation to wave calculated string in the text between HTML element tag and your attribute assigned. Okay, so we will not go into the technical definition of that. I am actually going to directly show you what is interpolation here. Now imagine you have the simple customer name, the example which is shown here. I have a customer, I have multiple customers, okay, and I want to show the name of the customer. I cannot directly hard code call the customer's name. There can be customer called IBC, there can be customer called Kickdrum, there can be customer called NBC, anything can be there. So I want something which is dynamically I can set and I can write in front of that. What I am doing here is I have created one data. This is my data variable, current customer. You can see on line number 13, this is my current customer. I have this data which I have bind to that kick drum. This is nothing but just a string. How I am using this variable in my HTML? So you have to create a variable in your component part or your TS file, and you have to use that here by adding this curly braces besides that variable. Without this curly braces, what will happen? Let's see. When I'm removing the curly braces and I'm saving this, when I go back here, you see this thing, you see current customer, this is what is we are changing, and here it is customer, current customer is what is a variable we have. What we want is, we don't want this variable to show, we want this actual string which is assigned to that variable to show on the HTML. For that, we are writing this curly braces besides that variable on both the sides. So when I'm writing this, just see here, that variable has actually got evaluated and it has changed its value to what assigned string was there, that kickdrum string. Okay. In a difficult or in a little bit technical terms, I would like to explain what actually is happening here. Now when you're writing these two curly braces, Angular template will check. When you're writing this in template, it will pass this whole template. It will go to section 1, this line number 1, then section 3, 4, 5, 6, everywhere. It will check where is this, anywhere it is written like this or not. Angular will check if curly braces are there or not. If that curly braces is there, in Angular terms, it is called as expression. Whenever anything which is like this is there, it is called as an expression. So expression, we evaluate actually the expression. When actually expression is getting evaluated, it will give you some output, and that output is what is this thing. So instead of that, simply see what is expression. 1 plus 1, this is my single mathematical expression is there. What is the outcome of this expression? 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. When I'm going and when I'm seeing here, that expression has got evaluated, that means solved, and then output has come, that output is 2. That output is actually getting used by the HTML and it is getting rendered. So that way, everywhere if you see this, you are getting an expression and that is getting evaluated. Okay, that is something little bit technical, but the simplest way, or the way we are going to use our variables to get rendered on your front end, is by using this interpolation. Okay, so this is what is there. The main thing for interpolation is the variable should always be in string, or what is the variable, whatever the variable is, it will automatically convert into a string. So the HTML only understands the text language or string language. So the expressions, whatever is going to be the output of that, it is going to convert into a string. Just keep that in mind, we'll see further why it is important. So this is what this is about our interpolation. The second thing, the second point for data mining is property binding. Property binding here, okay, before going to property binding, guys, I would like to tell you, maybe I am going little fast. If you are not understanding anything, or if you have any questions, we have, means the way we have divided this session is, we'll come up with all these things, we'll complete all the topics theoretically, and actually I am simultaneously moving from code to the slides, to show you how actually the code works. But if you have any questions or any confusion, you can write them down. We will be having a 20 minutes or session in the end of this at the end, and we will be discussing about all your difficulties, and actually we will be checking the sample application how it is working. So sorry if I'm not asking you if you have any doubts or anything in between, because I want to cover, and I have decided to have this question answer session in the end. So just pardon me. Okay, now I will be starting with property binding again. So what is property binding? First thing we saw is interpolation. The second binding is called property binding. Here, set an element property to a component property value. So when you have a property are like, the HTML tags have got some properties. There is a property called disable, there is a property called source. These are the properties which are actually used by HTML tags to do some functionality. That means this, if I have a button here, and if I want to disable that button, I will be writing a property called disable inside that, and I will be setting some value which will give me something which, by which I can do the disable part. So this is property, this disabled thing is my property. In the same way, this src is my property. Now for image tag, src, what it is doing, it is telling me what image I have to render in my image tag, and that is my property. So most general scenario of using the property binding is why using property. When you see here, the way I have customer, current customer, right? In the same way, I have other two variables like this image URL and is changed. So this image URL is again a string which is actually a path of an image which is inside my asset folder here. This is my image. So what I want is I want to have a variable which has got an image path which I can pass to my property of image tag which is src, and to tell image to evaluate this and to give that path, that specified path to this src. So if you are not specifying, okay, if I am going to some run and if I'm going to do some errors here, so there is no image called angular.png qqq. This is an error. So what you see here is the image is not getting rendered on the front end. So it is a valid path, and how image tag has evaluated that and rendered it properly is by using this. So if you go and inspect it, you will find the same, this folder or this path is there. This path actually got evaluated and it checked there is a angular png file is there, and this is the image for that, and I have to render that same image, and that is what has done here on the front end. So that way property binding is used. What is property binding simply speaking? This way you're writing code, you have used curly braces here, you are using square braces here, the square brackets which you have used. You are, what you are doing, you are just telling whenever there is a square bracket inside my html, I want to evaluate this string which is in front of equal to evaluate that and to give the output and assign that output to my property. So here the evaluation is done, and the output which has came is this string, this path of the image. There is something other, there is another property called disable, and see, disabled property is again binded property binding, and it has got another variable called is unchanged. So you can see in the components there is a one property called unchanged here is equal to false. That false, and because of that false, you can see this button is there which is not disabled right now. If I make that true, that means I am disabling that button. If I do that, here you see that button has got little gray. When I'm hovering on that, I'm not getting any effect. If I go back and if I again make it false, if I come back, you can see here that has got rain, and I'm when I'm hovering on it, I am doing something. So see this. So that means what I did, I use property binding to bind this property disabled by with this variable is unchanged for this button. That is another example. The main difference why we are using interpolation and why we are using property binding will come to there. To pull one way data binding, okay, fine. So what is the difference, property binding or interpolation? When to use property binding and when to use interpolation? Okay, this is the question you might not have right now, because the same thing can be done in both the cases. But the only difference and very important difference here is, once I told you, customer, current customer is always going to work when you have a string value. The data type of that variable should always be a string. That means inside this curly braces, whatever current variable is there, it should have a data type called string. But it is not the case with property binding. So with this property binding here inside source, we have a data which is of string value, right? With the other property binding called disabled, we have a data property with boolean. It is not a string, it is not a string. Not a string means I'm not doing it like this, right? It is actually a boolean thing. So with property binding you can actually use, so that is what is written here, when rendering data values as string, there is no technical reason to prefer one form of another. So with strings you can use anything, but with non-string data value you must use property binding. So in a simple definition, whenever you are having any data type or any variable which is not string, you always should use property binding in not interpolation. So that is the difference. Okay, so there are a couple of examples which I have shown you, and why we are using, in some ways we are using property binding, in some ways we are using interpolation. Here, see, there is one example called attribute binding. There attribute call span is there, which is in bold, 1 plus 1. The evaluation of this 1 plus 1 will become 2, but the column span property actually takes the input in number form. It is the data type which it takes is number, it is not going to take string. So we have used property binding besides that attribute dot column span, and we have used that round square brackets to evaluate that expression. In the same way we have this bad curly, but right now this class property is taking string value. So in the first example in attribute binding, here it is number data type. In the second example here, bad query is it's a string data type. And in the third example, class dot special, it is a boolean data type. So this way attribute binding or class binding is can be done by using property binding technique. Okay, what is event binding? Now this is the four type of binding. Here we have three types. The fourth type is event binding. Now there are, now when we say attribute, when we say class, when we say styling, these are all the sum of the properties of our HTML tags. Our HTML tags, div tag, td tag, button tag, and all. So here with HTML this we have a button tag, that property is disabled. We have an attribute called class, so everything is there. There is something called events also with buttons, and that is what is there here. So there can be number of events with a button or with other types with form fields. Input event, it can be on click, it can be on hover, it can be blur, any kind of event, key down, key up events are there. So how are we going to bind those events, this event, with our functional part? So in a simple way, what my right now my requirement is, I have a button here, this is my save button or this is my submit button, and I want to bind one event in the same way HTML happens. So for that what you have to do is you have to write a click event. This click event has got a specification of round brackets beside that. Around these round brackets you have to write the event name, this click event, and you have to specify the functions which is going to get called on click of this button. This function is written here in my ts file. Okay, see, there is one thing called property here, there is another thing called functions here. So when this is my on save function is written like this function is going to get called when I am going to click on this button. Why? Because I have done an event binding by using this on click event for this button. So if you see what is written inside that function, let's see, there is a alert written on that which is called this is the button clicked. When I go here and when I click on this submit button, I am getting this is my button click. Okay, so this way I am getting my event handling. I can do any kind of event handling here with the same property type. This is what is called event handling, where you have event name here, there is a bracket besides that, and there is a function in front of that which is getting called. We call this function as a handler function. This is a handler function for that event. So that is why click event has got a handler function on save, and that is what is written in my component file like this. Okay, this is event binding. So the binding directive you are met so far, flow data from one direction to another, from one component to an element. Event binding goes from child to parent. So okay, I am going to explain this right now. Here what is my child and parent is HTML is my child and component is my parent. Suppose what we saw till now with interpolation and property binding, we are having our properties here in my component. So we have a current property, current customer, we have a property or we have a variable called title, we have a variable called item image URL. So these are the kind of variables we have in our HTML file, in our TS file. Now how are we using them in our HTML file? By using these things, interpolation or by using data binding. This is property binding. Now from component the data is coming to HTML, or from TS file the data is coming to HTML file by using these two properties. Now with event binding, I am actually calling an event. I am clicking on the HTML file and I am sending that data to my component file. So just and understand this important part where you have these things in your code and you are actually seeing them on your HTML. HTML is getting rendered on your front end. This is what is happening, but from here I cannot change the value of my kick drum. I cannot change the value of this image or anything. But what I can do is I can click on this, and actually I am calling this alert, which is written in my component file. So I am interacting from my HTML to my component file. The variables are interacting from component to my HTML. So this way, this is what is called two-way binding from one component to HTML, and HTML to component is what is happening right now. So that is the main point which is written here. The event binding goes from child to parent. Child is my HTML, parent is my component. The syntax consists of a target event. The target here, the target, the third point which is written, target can be anything. It can be a button, it can be a div, it can be a input field, or anything. That target event will be parenthesis. This parenthesis, this round circle, the round brackets which are there, those are assigned, and you can bind, or you can add a binding, event binding, by using this syntax which is written as an example, which we have used. Same thing, that is what is called event binding. Okay, now there are two things. This is input rate, input, output. What are we? What are this? Why we are using this? That we will see. We'll not go into that. But now my another requirement. What I actually want is I have a click event. Okay, this is my click event happened. Now imagine there is one scenario where you have a form. There you are putting some fields there. You have a name, you have email, you have password, everything you have filled, and you have clicked one button called submit there at the bottom. Now you want that click button to tell front end, or to tell the API call, or to call the API to save the data, how it is happening, how you are telling it. So see here, the way we are actually using this input output is to interact between two different components. I will be little slower here right now. What we did till now, we pass the data from TS file to HTML file by using these variables. That is called interpolation or property binding. We pass data from HTML to TS file by using event binding, and that is what is on save button is there. Now the third thing which we really want right now in any of the application is to pass data from one component. When I say, suppose this is my component, to another component, and this is my another component. So inter between components, if I want to pass data, or if I want to assign or tell the something, how I'm going to use that, or how I'm going to do that, that is by using this @input and @output. Okay, so this is the concept where we are telling, or where we can do intercommunication between two different components by using @input and @output. So just imagine I have this component app sample. The way I have shown you how to use this app sample is by calling that in my app HTML file. So where I have called this here in line number 21. The way I'm passing this thing is name input. Okay, what do you think this is right now? I have just told you this is something called property binding, because we have a square bracket besides this name input property, and this is something click request. This is called event binding. Click request is my event name, and the parentheses are there, and this click request is the function or the handler which is going to get called whenever this click request is getting called. Okay, so this is similar pattern which we did in our component, sample component, with this button, the click event, and with this button with disable thing. Okay, now we have a component here. So what I want is, okay, my requirement, I have this title. Okay, this title property is there, and I want to use this title, or I want to do something like this: show this data in my sample component. Okay, so what I want is I want to show this title inside my component. I have not created a variable here, but I want to you show that title inside my component. Okay, so here this is the variable. What I have to do to pass data from this component to this smaller component or child component. My app component is my parent component, my app sample component is my child component. So I am passing this title to this sample component by from HTML, from HTML like this. Okay, so what is this name input? Title is what we know. Title is one variable which is there inside my component and which has got that value. This is what I want to show. What is this name input? The name input is this input variable on the line number 10. This input variable will tell that this component has got an input property which you can set by using this property binding like this in this HTML. So this name input thing you can pass. So right now you are passing this title property inside this name property, and how Angular knows that you can pass it is because you have registered that property here with @input. So any property which you are registering with this @input, you can use that in your HTML and pass data from one component to another. Now I want to use this name input property in my HTML. In the same way I have used current customer or title in my HTML page, I'm going to use this name. So instead of this current customer, suppose I'm removing this, instead of this title, I'm removing this. What I did, instead of this two variables, I am using this name input. I have not assigned anything in front of that. There is nothing assigned. No equal to is with any string. This is empty. From where it is getting its data, it is getting the data from this component, this HTML. Now let's see what happens. See, current customer, show this data in my sample component. Show this data in my sample component. So what I did, I passed this title value to my app sample component by using this variable which is @input and which has got an interpolation property binding. I am passing that inside my component here. Now this string, this input name input variable has got that value which was passed from app component, and it is showing that value here inside my HTML. So this way I am passing my app component value to my sample value. This is what is the usage of @input decorator. The simple smallest usage of @decorator, @input decorator is what is from parent component you can pass data to child component. Now in the same way, how the vice versa happens, the opposite of that happens. You have right now passed from your parent component, that is app component, to your child component, that is app sample component. Okay, now you want to pass something from app sample component, the child component, to your parent component, and in that it comes that time @output enables, @output comes. This will allow you to pass your data from your child component to your parent component. How it works here, the same way we have @input written, right? We are going to write something called @output there. Okay, and now what we did in front of that is we created one object called event emitter. Now a couple of things which you have to understand is there are some of the objects which are already predefined or provided by Angular, which you have to use to build the application. The same way this @input is predefined, @output is defined, event emitter is also defined. The main usage of this event emitter is to create your custom events. So I think I have that in my slide, custom events. Yeah, here. So what is my requirement? I want to pass data from child component to my parent component. Okay, for that I am using @output decorator. This is my @output decorator. I have to also use one other object called event emitter, so that what I am going to do now, I have a button there. I will be clicking on that button. I have already have assigned a event handler for that. That is my on save here. This is my button. Okay, and this is my handler on save. I know when I'm going to click on the button, I am getting a call here, and I am getting this function getting called. I am getting this alert also. Now how am I going to tell the app component that my button click has happened, and now whatever you want to do, you do it? because on click of this on save is getting called, but I am not able to pass the notification or pass the event to my app component. For that, I have to use this @output first and the event emitter. This event emitter is the object which you have to use to create your custom events. How you are going to create that? First, you have to create a variable with new event emitter and the data type which you want to send as part of that. So this is the syntax, simple syntax you have to run, understand. And the way you have to call that is by this line number 27. So what this happens is, it is nothing but the way we are clicking on the button and the click event is getting called. In the same way, whenever we are calling this thing, this dot click request dot emit, that emit is going to trigger a event which you can handle. So it is just a triggerer. That's it, nothing else. It's just a triggerer. Now how to handle that, that whenever this trigger happens, I want to do something. So for that, you have to go to app component and you have to write something called this. So just recalling again what we did here, we created an event here. Okay, this event is what is bind by using event binding in our HTML. So this is my event binding. Got it? And when I am saying event binding, that means this is my event. Whenever this event will get called, I want to have a handler there, and that is what is this handler. This click request is going to get called whenever the trigger will happen, that click request trigger. What is written in that click request? This is my click request. Okay, so what is happening right now? An alert is getting called. This alert is from my app component. Okay, so the scenario which we have right now here in front of us is, whenever a button click will happen, that button click is on app sample, and we have a app module, app component there, which is handling that click event. So if I go and click on the submit button, previously I was seeing this alert, this is my button click. Now instead of that alert, I am raising or I am emitting this click request, which is my triggerer. So when that triggerer is getting called, see, the alert which is coming is from my app component. That means this trigger happened, this trigger is getting called, which is listened from this event handler, and this request method has get called. This method has here is written, and this alert is getting called. Now what we did, we called an event inside our sample component and we handled that event inside our app component. But the point which we wanted to achieve was to transfer data from child component to parent component. Right now we are just showing this alert, how to pass the data. The point where I told you, this is the data. Let's say suppose here I have this kick drum, I want to pass the customer name from this child component to my parent component. That is my current customer. So I'm going to add that as my parameter. What I did, instead, before that event emit, I was not having anything inside my brackets. I have added one this dot customer. I am assuming that when I'm going to pass like this, I am getting a parameter, and that I'm going to handle inside my app component. So to handle that, here there is one point which I would like to show on my slide. So when we are going through, we'll see directives typically raise custom events with the Angular event emitter. So custom events by using event emitters, first point. The second point, the directives creates an event emitter and expose it as a property. So what we did, this output @output delete request is there in the image, and we have created an event emitter and we have exposed that as a property. Exposing that as a property means we have written @output in front of that. That means we are exposing this direct delete request to some outer components by which they can handle by using event binding. The directive call emit, see, event emitter dot emit payload. So here in the delete method, you can see in the image there is one line called this dot delete request dot event emit this dot item. So this dot item is my payload. The payload means whatever you want to pass in that event as a parameter, that is what is the payload. So right now for us, the payload is the customer name. this dot customer name. How you are going to handle that payload, that is what is the fourth point. Parent directives listen to the event binding to the property, to this property, and accessing the payload through the dollar event object. This two important things, dollar event is what you are going to get. Now, first thing is Angular or component doesn't know what you are sending as a parameter inside your emit method. So the parent component doesn't know what is this current or customer is there. So for that, there is a generic concept called, whenever you are writing any custom event, you have to write dollar event inside that parameters. So whatever this dollar event implies, whatever you are sending from there, from the component, from the sample component or from the style component, I am going to listen that, and I am going to keep it as a parameter with my dollar event. So here I have to add another property called event. That is what is my parameter which is passed from the parent component, and I am going to write that here, event. Okay, so now instead of only showing the alert message, I am also showing the name of the customer which I have passed from the sample. So now what I try to do is I try to pass my customer name from my child component to my parent component. So when I click on submit, I will be getting, this is my form alert from app component, and the front is my kick drum. So this kick drum is what I have passed from my sample component to my app component, and that is how we have successfully achieved passing of data from child component to our parent component. And that is why we use custom components for this kind of purposes, to pass data or to trigger an event or to do any functionality. It can have many kind of use cases. Okay. Now till now what we did, we achieved all the features by which we can bind data, we can show our custom data in from our components to our html, we can pass data from one component to one html, one component to other component, parent child relationship and all those stuffs. Now this part, the directives part, this is totally going to cover how we are going to render our html. So if you actually work on some applications where you have list of users, where you have list of product items, that kind of application is there, and you want to show that how you are going to convert that data, that thousands of records into an html, you have to use this kind of directives. So the directives are nothing but an the what you can say, a concept or the utilities which will help you to render or to create your html in fast form and in simplified form. Okay, there can be three kinds of directive there: component directive, structural directive, and attribute directive. Now when you see component directive, you might get confused that component is another building block also, and here I am again saying it is a directive also. Now the thing is, component is actually a child of directive. A component is a directive which has already associated html, means it is already bind with one html. So a directive is nothing but an entity which works with html part, and component has already one associated html with it. Okay, now there are three types of directives, that is component, structural, and attribute. What is the difference between, and the main difference with directives when we are talking about different directives are structural directives and attribute directives. You can see the definition. Whenever, in a simplest form I have written the definition, I'm not going to technical part. So whenever you want to deal with the structure of your html, structure means what? Structure means this thing, the way you are seeing this application, right? The top portion is my heading, my tabs are there, this is my first portion, the second portion, this is what is the structure. If I remove this structure or this element, example of interpolation binding, I am removing one element from there. If I want to add something, I am adding some element. So the simplest definition for structural directive is, whenever you are dealing with adding on removing of dom elements from your html page, you can do or you can use structural directives for that purpose. The second is attribute directive. The attribute directive deals with the appearances or the behavior or the look and feel or the styling, you can say, of your element or your HTML. Now here, this button which is showing in green, which has got this hover effect, this is in blue which has got an hover effect. Why and how it is coming? There has been some kind of styling applied to that, where some kind of classes applied to that, by which or it is happening. So that is actually dealing with the appearance of that button. It is not actually removing or adding the element. That we can do with the help of attributes. Here, in the slide, you can see there are three types of structural directives and three types of attribute directives. Now when you see ng for, ng if, ng switch, you might see there is a significance of for loop in JavaScript, if condition in JavaScript, and switch cases in JavaScript. Now, Angular gives you more of a benefit or provides you some kind of features where you can actually use this for loop, if condition, and switch cases in your HTML directly. You don't have to write a JavaScript for code for that, and you can actually use this directives for creating or rendering the application, the HTML pages, in your in the template itself. What am I trying to say? I will explain. Here, when you're writing something in your code, okay, for loop you write, if conditions you write, so that way you're writing that in your HTML, in your TS file or in your JavaScript. The same thing you can do in your template as well. You can write your for loops also here, you can write if conditions also here. That I'm going to show you by showing you one of the example, or one of the application which I have created, which is this questionnaire list. Now, imagine you are inside one of the forum, or inside one of the questionnaire forum, where you have a number of questions coming in. Now these are my 4 questions, you can have 50 questions as well. So what is happening here? I am creating a question there, it has got 4 options. Then second question has got 4 options, third question has got 4 options, likewise. It the Now the similarities between, they have question, they have 4 answers, and there is a thing which is actually showing me as a question page. Every time, if I'm going to create this kind of UI, what I have to do? If I want to create the UI simply by like this, means the way it is showing right now, what I have to do? I have to, okay, the hardest way of that is I'm going to create a simple application for that, and I'm going to show how actually I should, I might have to do it if I want to do it by simple HTML. 1 2. Okay, here are my 2 options. So there is one label, there is another label, option 2, 2, option 1 and 1. Okay, what will happen to this? Let's see. What is it showing in the front end? So here I have these options, this option 1 and option 2 is there, right? In the same way, let's say I have a question, I will copy the question also. This is my question 1. 1. Okay, so this way, now let's say I have 4 options, I was saying. Okay, copy, paste. Okay, now you see this is my question. Okay, let's hide this stuff. Okay, now see, this is my question first. So to render that question, I have to write for this part, for this much part which is shown here on the screen. For this much part I have to write this much of HTML. Okay, now in the same way, if I have another question, in the same way I have to write another question like this. This is my question 2. In the same way I have to write another part which is like question 3. So I have to copy this much of HTML to render this part. Okay, so now imagine if I had written this much of HTML here and I'm only seeing this thing, how am I able to create this all stuff? Because this is already got created, this I have created for you, and I am not writing this much of HTML. So let's leave this example and go to our actual page where it is written. What I am trying to tell you is, by using those directives, how in a small way you can actually create this page by writing only couple of lines of code. So in the HTML, if you see here, okay, the only thing which I have to write to render this all part, this whole questionnaire, the 4 questions, I have to write this much of stuff, only this 5 lines, line number 9 to line number 25. Here I have this for loop. This for loop is telling me to do looping through all the question list which I have. I have a data here. This is my questions. So if you see on the screen, there is question. This is my question array, and I have question number 1, which has got 4 options. I have question number 2, which has got 4 options. So this way I have my data ready. I'm just writing the HTML in such a way that that data is getting used. It is looping through all the questions by using this ng for, and it is rendering me all the questions like this. The data question list is passed, each item is there, and that each item is getting passed like this. We will go through these examples in depth when we will be working on our sample application, and we'll be talking about the sample application, how it is working, where it is getting used, and all those stuff. But there is something called this ng for, which is used to loop through all the data which is like this and create your HTML page in only small 3-5 lines of code. Where comes, and the other part where it comes is ng for is written here. Okay, the second part is ng if, the second attribute. This second attribute ng if deals with the condition where I have, if my show result is true, I have to show it, or else I don't want to show it. So in the simple example, if I'll show you, see, I'm solving this question. I have selected some options. Okay, now I'm done with the question answers. I want to submit that. So what will happen inside, besides that, you are seeing incorrect, correct, correct, this all things are there. So what actually is happening is, before that this was not there, but when it came, when I told Angular that if the submit click is happened, if I am clicking submit, I want to see the result. I have clicked here and I am showing result equal to true. So I am telling Angular that whenever click is happening and the submit click is happening, tell the user what are the correct answers. So that way I am making it true, and I am showing this content, this correct and incorrect here. So that's why you are seeing incorrect and correct at that time. When you are refreshing, let's see, and you are going back again, you are not seeing that right now. Again, you click something. When you click on the submit button, you are seeing, okay, this one is right, this one is wrong, this one is wrong. Likewise, now here, this is the way you are using ng if to show correct, incorrect information on the page. That's why, and in that way, to summarize this, ng for is used for creating the loop and creating a number of rows for my questions, and ng if is used to show if the result is, do you want to see the result or not, and if the result is correct or incorrect. In that way, I have used ng for and ng if directory. So and now if you go into the in the slides, you will see they are coming under structural directives. Why it is coming under structural directives is because they are actually dealing with the creation and removal of the HTML tags. Creation means, if I have a for loop which has got 4 objects, it is creating 4 tags here, there's 4 questions. Okay, so actually it is happening, it is actually creating 4 objects or 4 tags on my HTML. the ng if is actually showing me this correct and incorrect, because and in that way it is creating an object in html and removing that from the html in a such a way. So that is why they are coming in structural pattern, and that is where this adding and removing of dom elements come into the picture. Okay, so this way we have created, or we have used our ng for and ng if directives for handling this. Now one thing is, it is not constrained right now, but the way you have created your html and you're done with it. Imagine that your data, this questionnaire data, is coming from backend, and instead of this 4 questions, now you have suppose 8 questions like this. So if you copy this and if you paste it here, save it. So what I what I did, instead of 4 questions, I have added another 4 questions. I am not going to change anything in my HTML, and still I am going to get my 8 questions rendered. So that way it is so dynamic, and you don't have to worry or change anything in your front end. It is already automatically taking care. So the logic you have to write in such a way that the way the rendering happens, it should not be in future, it can be 10 questions also, it can be 20 questions, or the html should be in such a way that it should be able to handle your dynamic stuff which are coming from some other sources. That's why this components are getting created, and where this is where the directives are coming into picture, where they will help you to write this kind of applications. There is one concept where you can create your custom directives, and actually right now we will not go into that much of detail for how to create custom directives, but there is a concept and you can create your own custom directives for doing this kind of purposes. That is the advanced part of this. Okay. To tell you guys right now, the means the way I have decided to now to interact with you people by using this sample questionnaire application. So now whatever concepts we have learned till now, all this interpolation, data binding, components, templates, directives, everything I have used, and I have tried to cover all these points by doing this sample questionnaire app. And that is what is I'm showing you right now here. So everything which we have learned is used here. We means what I am understanding, or what I am trying to try here is, I will be actually now opening the channel for you all guys, and to ask me whatever questions you have. We will be actually going inside the code, and we will be showing you how things are working and how we are communicating. Any questions if you have for us right now, you can ask. So from my side, for the first part, I am actually covered, completed. But now I am actually I wanted to show you the actual scenario where actually it is covering, where I have created number of different components, where I have decided, or I have done the communication between multiple components. I have passed the data, I have got the data, I am using directives to render this application, I am clicking event binding and everything. Whatever you are seeing here, whatever we have learned so far, I have tried to use that here in this application. And that way I wanted to explain everything by using this application. So now you can actually means unmute yourself and ask any questions if you have right now, any doubts if you have, or else we'll go through this application and we'll complete each and every topic which we covered till now.
Yeah, Pratik, I have a doubt. Can you
Yes.
like shed some more light on the that upon clicking on the submit button on that quiz, how is that incorrect and correct thing
Okay,
being done? Can you just shed more light on that?
sure. Okay, 1 second.
Thank you.
Now that is actually happening by using this ng if directive. Okay, this ng if directive takes the input of boolean flag. So when I am writing this, when you will see this result, show result is there. When you go, this show result has got a boolean thing. So I can assign something like this, boolean. So I have provided a data type to that flag, and that flag is helping me to see when to show the result and when not to show. Okay, so if I have and when I have done to show the result is on click of that. So the sequence how it is happening is, let's say there is a submit button on top. If you see, this is the submit button. Okay, on click of that submit button, I have a handler called submit, and that submit button is this is the function which is getting called. Inside this functions, what we are doing, we are actually making that flag, that show result flag, as true. Right now, before that it was false. So let's go to the HTML and see. Now the compiling is happening, the parsing of HTML is happening. It has seen this if ng if is there, the value is show result. This, what is the value of this variable? It goes to the component, it checks, okay, it is false right now. So the condition is false. That means this condition is false. If this condition is false, this div is not going to get rendered at all. So let's say if I have a result, okay, you can see the class, right? I will just show you one demonstration how you can see why that div is not present. Okay, you all have seen the div was coming here inside this incorrect thing, suppose, right? So I am going to inspect that and I'm going to show you why that div is actually not present on the UI, and on click of my submit it actually comes. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so this is my HTML. Don't bother about how it is working and how it is showing. Everything is simple. Here, this is my div. Inside my div, you don't see what if I want to compare this div with my actual HTML, you can see app questionnaire is there, right? This tag. The same tag is written here, app questionnaire. Okay, inside that, after that tag, there is one div which is not shown here, but you can see there is one green color code is written, binding ng if reflect. Not going to the technical part, but if you see, if you keep on seeing here in the debugger, and when I'm selecting some things and I'm clicking on that submit button, you see there is another div got created, and that div has got a class called result. This result class div is this div. This is that div which is actually giving us the provision of showing the result and or not. So now coming to your questions, when it is simple, to give you a simple answer, whenever this show result is true, this divs will be shown. If it is false, this divs will not show. And I'm making them true, I'm making that flag true on click of that button, on submit button. So now once I clicked it, that flag has become true, and here that div has started showing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. Just one more small thing. Can you just go to the code of that submit button
Yeah,
on that submit function?
this function, yeah, here.
Yeah. So here we are using in the submit function in line. I think that's what is the line? 18? I think that's 20, line 20.
Okay, now you can
This
see
dot,
I have
yeah,
zoomed out.
this dot show result.
Yeah.
So like how does this work in Angular? Like for this whole class, does the object is being formed and then we can access it using the this, or generally?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now here, whatever properties you are creating, whatever
Mhm.
functions you are creating, they can be accessed by using this keyword. This
Okay.
is the scope of this class. So what this word
Mhm.
derives is the scope of this class, this questionnaire list component class. So
Mhm.
whenever you are creating any variables on top of that, you can access them on, and you can only access them by using this keyword. You can create your own variables inside your functions. That is the part of scoping. Means you have to understand scoping. So whenever I'm saying scoping, you can access all the variables inside your class by using this keywords inside any of the functions. Now submit is my function, show result is my variable. Show result is inside this class, questionnaire
Yeah.
class, and the
Okay.
function in which I am making that as true is also inside that class. So I can directly use this dot show result for making that flag true.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So that is what is this application about. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll move on and I will tell you about how this application has got created. So simply see, the structure is similar. The only things which are different is the components which have created. First of all, there are multiple components here. Each folder which you see here is one component. There is a component called questionnaire list. There is a component called questions. The way I have divided the responsibility of writing that application is, the question list will take care of rendering all the questions for me, and on answering all the questions, checking if the questions are correct or not. So I have a list of all the questions which I have inside my questionnaire list. I have, this component has got the responsibility of rendering all the questions. Now the second component which you can see here is a questionnaire. This is just a single object which is taking care of responsibility of showing this much of code, the question and the four options. So whenever this questionnaire is there, it is going to take care of showing the question and the options of that question. That is what is this thing is doing. So that HTML, this is the HTML which is shown here on the highlighted one, and the whole HTML which you see here in the questionnaire list is the actual whole application which you see there, the questionnaire application. So the first top portion is header, the second is list group. This list group is what is this thing which is here on the bottom. Inside that list group, how I have used the question component in my questionnaire list. Here you can see on line number 10. Line number 10 is adding one instance of one object of app questionnaire, which is this component. Okay. And I have a list of questions here. This question list is there. What I am doing is, by using this ng for directive, I am looping through the question list. I am getting one object of question. Now this item which you see here, this item is actually my one question, this object, this much of object. Okay. So this object, how it is modeled here, which we have done this modeling here. Now one question should have a question, it should have an answer also, it should have the answer which our user has selected, so we can compare if it is correct or not, and it should have a answer options also, the answer. Now here you can see there is a different type of number, data types are also written in front of that. So question is a string data type, correct answer is a number data type, selected answer is a number, and our answer options is an array of string. So when you see the actual data model, here you can see this is a string, this is a number, this is another number, and this is array of string. That is what are my four options. So this is my single question model or question object. I am using this question object to render my single questions. How am I passing that question objects which I got from my ng for loop to each of my questions? So chunking it down to a smaller components. See what I have right now here is my app questionnaire. This is the component which renders single questions, each question at a time. Now here I have a property called question, which is of type question model. Just now we saw this question model type which has got a question, answer correct, selected answer, and answer options. The mandatory thing for this question component is this kind of objects. So if you pass this question object, automatically the rendering of that question object will happen. How we are using that? By using, you can see there is nothing different, we are only using the interpolation and property binding here to do all the stuffs. This is interpolation, this is my ng for, this is my property binding value of this option, and this is again interpolation. So here this HTML, what is the what is this HTML telling is, create a form there. Inside that form, add a loop through all the answer options. Whatever answer options inside that questions are there, those four answer options which are there, for them add a loop and add this label with input property radio. So whenever that radio is got selected, I want which radio has got selected in the answer. So that way this HTML is just rendered. This HTML is rendered by now by this, the single one question. Multiple number of this same component are getting created in my questionnaire list. So the number of question list component objects are there, that those number of questionnaire components are going to get created. So there is one thing called question list, there is one thing called question object. So that way these two things are divided, and by using this question list I have the list shown, and by using the question object I have each and every questions getting rendered. That way everywhere in your application you have to actually divide your components in this way. So now why do you think I have only one questionnaire component? Is because there is a similarity between all the questions. The question one is there, which has got 4 options. Question 2 is there, again 4 options. 3 again 4 options. Unnecessarily, instead of writing this much of HTML, the smart way of doing that is create a single component which should have a generic logic. The word generic is important here because it should the component should always be created in such a way that it should be used generic in everywhere, even if it is not a specific component. In the same way, if it is not a specific component, it should be created in such a way that it should be generic and it should be reusable also. So now reusable means ev- every time when this loop is happening, I am using the same component for doing the rendering of the questions. And that way a single component has got the responsibility of showing the questions. It should be reusable because I, if I'm not using it here, I can individually use that component anywhere else also. Instead of this list, I can use it anywhere else in my sample component or anywhere. So it is again reusable, and not, it's not bind to any a specific component also. That is what is called the generic term. So that is what is there. Again, there is something called on select event and input event. So now we understood the idea of input, where we are inserting the index. This index is showing the number of questions, which is this right now, and this input questions is the actual object, which is we are passing from our questionnaire list. There is one term called output, at the rate output, and on select event is written there. So this on select event we are using to tell the questionnaire list component. So this is my questionnaire component, this is my question list component. I am using this on select sorry, to tell questionnaire list component that which option has got selected. So this is way I am emitting the event. So you might be confused because there I have used string as a the parameter. Here I am using an object as a parameter. The benefit of this is we can actually use any data type inside emit. We are not constrained about anything, so we can use any data type here and we can emit this. Now going to the flow, how it is working is, I have this questionnaire rendered, I am selecting some form. Whenever I am selecting, this select event is called, which select event is called, um yeah, here on this on select event is getting called whenever I am changing the radio selection. That select event is handled here in my questionnaire. Sorry. That select event is handled here in my questionnaire by using this, and this is my event handler on value select. You can see the function on value select, it is consoling that out. We'll see what is the output of that. See, whenever I'm changing it, I'm getting that output. uh, Guys, give me 5 minutes actually. Priya, you can take over if you want something, if you are if you can answer the questions.
Yeah, Prati. Uh, yeah. So, guys, if you have any questions or doubt, you can ask. Okay, I assume you guys are all new to the Angular, so you need some time to grasp all the concepts. But I would strongly recommend you to, after this session, just go and try the Angular application. So we generally use VS Code for the development. So you can install the VS Code and The whatever the comments here mentioned in the lecture, it's available in the Angular documentation. You can go through that. You can follow that. You can create any Angular application in 5 minutes.
Yeah, sorry.
So that will be really helpful for the tomorrow session also, and it will help you to understand the concept even better. Yeah, Pratik, you can continue.
Yeah, what
Thank you.
is there any question or something? What you were telling?
No, no, I was generally asking them to try out the Angular
Yeah,
application after
yes,
the
yes.
session.
Yes, definitely. See, the best thing about this Angular is, generally speaking, this is an open source thing, first of all. So there is no company or any specific company is there who is handling the development of that. It's an open source, so anybody can contribute to it. So the best way to learn this is, if you learn the basics of that, you can actually explore it in any of the websites or anywhere. It is totally open source and people actually contribute to the application most of the time. Whatever you are developing, this is getting helped to any other means any other the like you guys, means I have developed this application, I can give you this application, and it's nothing where I have the confidentiality or thing, because you can find everything on the internet as well. So that is the best way you to learn it. So whatever concepts which you have learned right now, or what the keywords or the points which you have learned, you can just go and search for that. You will get n number of forums, n number of documents which are telling you and which are helping you to do that. So that is the best part of this Angular, because it can be explored in any ways. Okay, so coming back to this, so more or less we have completed all the explanations. So the way we have created this example by using the all the concepts which we have told in our slides. So if any other questions if you have, you can ask right now, because yeah, we are done for the today's session, and that way, yeah, correct, we have completed our first part of the first day of our this session. Uh, no questions, guys?
I think Pratik, they have to try out. Then they will be come up with a lot of questions tomorrow.
Right. That is the only thing. You have to try that out. So again, if you want to go on from the starting, I can tell you how to do the setups and everything. So that way, if I'm a little fast, I can explain that again. So there are no more commands. You can go and you can, if you want me to show the slides also, I can show you that. So you can note down the key points from that, and you can actually try and run out in your means at your places. To set up that, it's a simple four commands. There is nothing scientific here. And to create components, to create objects, anything, this is very simple. That way, okay, fine. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, so we can conclude the today's session with this. Yeah, Ganesh, can we conclude this? I think, yeah. Okay, guys, thank you for attending to this session, and we are glad. And if you have any doubts, you can just reach out, or you can send get in contact with us in LinkedIn, and you can ask those questions. We are ready to help you in anything or any application or any doubts if you have for related to this, related to your applications which you're right now working on. Anything is fine. Great. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pratik.